Hola, buenos días.
Hello, good morning. I'm Maria and I work for a company which is works in support technology, BJ adaptation, and I have a very specific question. We also create and distribute technology. If we were interested in incorporating some of the technologies which you have presented in your project, what would it have to do? Is your market strategy based on patents which can be then exploited commercially, or how does it work? Well, in the initial projects, we thought of developing a patent-based system, but then we realized that if we wanted to create an ecosystem, such as the one that I showed a few minutes ago, where we needed to create an open platform. We needed to be an open platform. The projects ended on March 31st. Tomorrow we have the General Assembly of INREDI partners, and one of the decisions that we need to make is about this. And I think that all of the consortium wishes to, little by little, open the platform so that the industry of support products can incorporate their products. In reality, incorporating a new support product to this architecture is relatively straightforward. And I think, well, what I would say is that next week I have my own personal opinion, but until tomorrow, until we do not make a decision, I cannot give you a final answer. However, I can ask you to call me next week so I can explain what can be done, because what we want is to keep on. My name is Caroline from Core Factory, and I have two questions. Code Factory. My first question is: have you made tests with other phones, mobile phones, apart from your mobile phones, Android and tablets, for example? My second question is: as a private company with dealing with support policy, do you have any strategy to reach a market? What have you thought of? Would you be open to companies which are not members of the consortium? But I imagine that we'll have to wait for next week for an answer. Yes, the consortium has closed down because a research project finished, but we are very interested in software and services, and we are very interested in advancing in that direction, in progressing in that direction. As far as technologies, yes, we have tested Android and other operational systems where you simply need to install a web navigator. What other operational systems have you tested? We have tested things based on Windows, and these are the three main ones based on for mobile. Hello, good morning. Saul Martin from the Polytechnic University here in Madrid, and I have two questions, less of a more commercial nature perhaps than the previous questions. The INREDIS concept is that the interface should be in a cloud, so that's okay, everything's in a cloud nowadays. Even Google has an operational system based in a cloud. And my question is, how will the large stakeholders in the cloud incorporate this idea of having a user based intercloud and not the INREDIS supplier? Because we all have mini Google and the idea of user interface. And the second question is that the interface is with the user in his iPhone, for example. So have you tested specific hardware devices such as Braille noters, or is it something too specific or something that you foresee in other projects? So these would be my two questions. Well, the first question, as Blanca said before, the idea is to open this model making sure that we're very open. We even had contacts and a meeting with Google among who became interested in this kind of models. We'll have to see in the future what happens, whether there is a trend towards this trend by INREDIS, or if there are other similar platforms which have an interoperable process so that we can escalate this architecture to have an architecture oriented towards the different company models. So far, what we've done is open to all the APIs so that other Google services and non-Google services have them available. That is our philosophy. That is, reuse everything that can be recovered and in the cloud, and use a black box model through INREDIS in this case. And the second question, the Braille test, we have not used that. At the beginning, we started analyzing it as one of the possible devices, but we have not used it. We have used, however, another kind of hardware, PCs, for example, which have pupil movement follow-up systems, which have other imbibed support products, like the imbibed IPC, which are follow your eyes, and we have used this support, native supports in INREDIS interfaces. For example, in Braille, what you do is read the screen so that you can have the interface. You can read the Braille line. The screen can interact with support products, which are services in the cloud or which you have installed in your own device. Yes, my query is about information. You mentioned that information is as important as the development of the hardware and software. What options do you foresee for the development of training? Training. Do you foresee anything for trainers? Training of trainers? For those who have to teach how to use this, because very often people have access to a device, but unfortunately they do not have the right training to use the device, so that it can be a problem for the use of technology. Well, there's here two parts. On the one hand, in order to use this, we try to make sure that training is not necessary. One of the elderly people who never use this interface, well, there's a number of questions you answer, and after 5 minutes there's an interface created with an iconography which the person is able to understand with any kind of training. That's the idea, because if you need to train for each technology, it would be a titanic effort and many people would be left out. However, these techniques can be used also for learning. There's other kinds of technologies in which you really need some training, and we are working in other fields which have to do with learning and how we can incorporate INREDIS technologies to pedagogical concepts. And perhaps my colleague can explain how people are using these technologies to create intelligent interfaces. Yes, in the training, in this multimodal game, this is really a toolkit which helps you generate your own graphic adventure. Rather than for INREDIS, we orientate that towards the use of services which are not based on INREDIS. In this case, this was meant for the users, but we are thinking of using these games for the managers of emergency situations, also for mentors. And as Blanca was saying, the idea is using the information accumulated on the internet to make more dynamic and richer learning environment, and also to invite people who will help us manage this content so that we can make them available to the users, so that when these contents come and are made available by different users, here we use the 2.0 applications, but of course this would be later on. That would be like a step forward.